Duke didn't walk, he glided. Every muscle in his body moved with purpose. His paws made no sound on the polished floor of Skyport International. His partner, Officer Callie Navarro, kept a hand on his leash, her eyes scanning the early crowd. They'd done this routine for 3 years, but today felt different. "Duke, you picking up something already?" Callie asked softly. The German shepherd gave a low chuff, ears flicking toward a stroller rolling by. Then nothing. But Callie had learned to trust that look in his amber eyes. It was the same one he gave before he found heroin hidden in a gaming console, or the time he sniffed out stolen credit cards stitched into a yoga mat. It was early. Too early. The kind of early where even coffee couldn't fix your face. Families dragged sleepy toddlers. Business travelers barked into phones, and that robotic voice kept repeating delays over the intercom. Callie sipped her bitter cup of machine coffee. "All right, partner, let's make our round. Try not to scare any influencers this time." Duke didn't flinch, he was focused, more than usual. They passed gate 19, then 20. Duke's pace slowed. He sniffed the air once, twice. His body stiffened. "Talk to me," Callie whispered. Duke's ears stood tall. His nose worked fast, pulling in air like a vacuum. But then, he kept walking. Nothing yet. Callie followed his lead. They moved past a group of teens laughing too loud, past a woman digging through her purse for gum, past a man arguing with a flight agent. All normal airport stuff. But Duke wasn't easing. Up, his energy buzzed under the surface. "Don't tell me you're chasing ghosts again," Callie said, though her tone held no bite. She remembered when Duke came to her, straight from a Bavarian training facility. The trainer had said, "This one's got a nose for the hidden things," and he was right. They reached Terminal C. Duke froze. Not the kind of freeze when he's curious. The kind when he's sure. Callie stopped mid-step. "You see something?" Duke didn't move. His amber eyes locked on something ahead. His body tensed. "All right," Callie breathed. "Let's check it out." Somewhere between gate 22 and the boarding zone, a mother was shifting a toddler from one hip to another. Her stroller was packed, diaper bag bursting. But Duke didn't care about the kid or the stroller. He cared about that bag, and he wasn't letting it go. Not today. Duke didn't budge. Callie felt the leash tighten as he stepped in front of the woman heading toward gate 22. He wasn't growling. His body wasn't aggressive, but he stood like a wall, strong, still certain. "Duke," Callie said, her voice low. "What is it, boy?" The woman stopped abruptly, shifting the toddler on her hip. She wore sunglasses and a look that said she was already done with the day. The diaper bag on her shoulder bounced heavily with every step. "Is there a problem?" she snapped. Callie moved closer. "Ma'am, I need you to step aside for just a moment. My canine partner is indicating something." "It's a diaper bag," she said sharply. "Wipes, formula, maybe some crackers. Your dog's confused." Duke stayed frozen, eyes locked on the bag. Not even a blink. "I understand," Callie replied, trying to keep calm. "But when he reacts like this, we're required to take a closer look." The woman's voice rose. "You're doing this because I'm traveling alone with a kid, aren't you? Profiling a tired mom?" "No, ma'am. Duke doesn't care who you are. He only alerts when he senses something." People nearby started slowing down. A few turned their heads. One guy pulled out his phone. Callie felt the tension rising. The toddler in her arms stopped sipping from his juice box and stared at Duke. Even the child sensed something wasn't right. The woman's hands gripped the stroller tighter. "I'm not going anywhere. I'm already late because of a shuttle delay. I'm not missing this flight too." "Ma'am," Callie said more firmly, "I'm not accusing you of anything, but I need to check the bag." "No," she snapped. "I won't be humiliated because your mutt is having a bad morning." Duke gave a soft, low rumble from deep in his chest. Callie's eyes narrowed. That wasn't a mistake. Duke was sure. She reached for her radio. "Requesting backup at gate 22. Possible alert." "Are you kidding me?" the woman shouted. "This is harassment." Duke didn't move, didn't flinch, just stared at the bag like he could see through it. Passengers stepped back. The air shifted. Callie lowered her voice. Ma'am, you can cooperate now or this becomes more serious. The woman's lips tightened. You'll regret this. But Duke stood firm. His eyes didn't leave the bag. And Callie knew. This wasn't going away. Something big was buried in that bag. Rachel didn't back down. I have a baby, she shouted. You really think I'm hiding something in a diaper bag? Callie kept her voice steady. It's not personal, ma'am. But Duke's giving a strong alert. That means we have to check. The crowd had doubled. People stopped pretending not to watch. A man whispered, Is she hiding something? A woman nearby whispered back, It's always the ones who look normal. Rachel's toddler, still holding his juice box, started to cry. The sound cut through everything. You're scaring him, Rachel snapped, bouncing the boy on her hip. I'm just trying to get home. Duke stayed locked on the bag. No barking, no lunging, just that cold, focused stare. Callie had seen it before. When he looked like that, he was never wrong. Rachel's sunglasses slipped just enough for Callie to catch a glimpse of her eyes. They weren't angry anymore. They were wide, shaky. There was something else now. Panic. Please, Rachel said. Her tone had changed. It wasn't sharp anymore, it was scared. I packed this bag myself, formula, diapers, snacks, that's it. I hear you, Callie said gently. But I need to be sure. Rachel clutched the bag tighter. I'm not letting you tear apart my son's stuff in front of everyone like I'm a criminal. Duke gave one soft growl, just once. Short, focused. That was all Callie needed. Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to set the bag down. Rachel didn't move. Her body was stiff. Her grip on the strap was so tight her knuckles turned white. The baby hiccuped between sobs. Rachel, Callie said, now using her first name. Look at your son. This doesn't have to be like this. That broke something. Rachel's hand slowly loosened. She placed the bag down on the bench. Her fingers lingered on the strap. You're making a mistake, she whispered. You'll see. Callie stepped forward and slipped on gloves. We'll handle this carefully. She unzipped the bag slowly. Inside were all the things you'd expect. Diapers, wet wipes, juice boxes, a folded blanket. But there was a small pouch tucked between a baby bottle and a box of crackers. Rachel, Callie said without looking up. What's in this pouch? I don't know, Rachel said too quickly. That's not mine. Callie didn't speak. She looked at Duke. He took one step forward, nose close to the pouch. One bark, one paw on the bench. Official alert. Callie's chest tightened. She'd hoped it was a mistake. But Duke never lied. Duke circled the diaper bag like it held the answer to a question only he could hear. One slow pass, then another. His nose hovered just inches above the fabric. He didn't rush. He never did. Callie's heart thudded in her chest. The crowd around them had grown quiet, watching. Security had stepped closer, but no one moved. All eyes were on the dog. Then, Duke stopped. He took a single step forward, head lowered. One sharp bark echoed through the terminal. Then his paw came up and landed firmly on the bench, right next to the pouch. Callie swallowed hard. Ma'am, she said without looking up. What's inside this? Rachel didn't answer. Her eyes darted from the pouch to Callie, then to Duke. I don't know, she said quickly. That's not mine. Callie gave a small nod, slipping on gloves. It was inside your bag. Rachel shook her head. Someone must have put it there. I leave that bag everywhere, bathrooms, waiting rooms, anyone could have dropped something in. Duke didn't flinch. His eyes stayed on the pouch like it was the only thing that mattered in the world. Callie carefully picked it up. It was small, cloth, navy blue. But when she held it, it was heavy. Too heavy. Too solid. She placed it gently on the seat and slowly unzipped the top. Inside were two clear plastic bags, one filled with a white crystal-like powder, the other filled with small blue pills. Tucked beside them was a tiny digital scale still on, numbers frozen. Gasps came from the watching crowd. Rachel stepped back, shaking her head. No, that wasn't there this morning. I packed the bag myself. It was just snacks and baby stuff. Callie's voice was quiet but firm. Do you recognize this? I swear to God I don't, Rachel said. I've never seen that pouch before. This isn't mine. Duke stepped forward, tail stiff. His posture didn't change. He didn't need to say anything more. Callie pulled out her field test kit. The moment she touched the strip to the powder, it turned bright red. She looked up. It's fentanyl. Rachel's face went pale. Her knees bent slightly, like her body wanted to give out. She held onto the stroller for balance. Duke stood close watching her, not like a cop, but like a guardian. Callie didn't speak. She didn't need to. Duke had already said everything with just one bark and one paw. Rachel dropped to her knees. I didn't put that there, she whispered. I swear on my son's life. That's not mine. Her hands shook as she held the stroller, knuckles white. The toddler whimpered, confused and scared, reaching for her face. Callie stood silent, pouch still open. The bags inside were sealed but obvious. White powder, blue pills, and the digital scale that confirmed this wasn't some random mix-up. The test strip had already turned bright red. Fentanyl. And the pills? MDMA. Rachel looked up, eyes wide and wet. Why would I bring drugs to the airport with my child? I don't know, Callie said quietly. But it's here, and Duke doesn't make mistakes. Rachel turned to the dog. Please, she begged, voice cracking. You believe me, don't you? Duke didn't bark. He didn't growl. He just sat beside her, head high, tail still, like he was listening, not just with ears, but with something deeper. I've been clean, Rachel said. 93 days I've been counting every day. I even stopped drinking coffee just to be sure I stayed on track. Callie knelt down beside her. Then help me understand. Who else had access to your bag? Rachel blinked fast. No. One just maybe at the daycare yesterday or the shuttle this morning. I left it for 2 minutes when I helped Max buckle in. Behind them, more security arrived. A man in uniform approached, but Callie held up her hand. Give us a minute. Rachel clutched her son close. I can't go to jail. I have no one. His father's gone. My family cut me off last year. If something happens to me, who takes Max? We don't want to take your child, Callie said. We want to find the truth. Rachel's voice cracked. Then believe me when I say I didn't put that stuff in there. Someone set me up. Duke stood slowly and took a step closer to her. He didn't sniff. Didn't alert. Just sat beside her again. Close. Gentle. Rachel let out a sob. He knows, doesn't he? He knows I didn't do it. Callie didn't answer right away. She looked at Duke. He had that same look he always had when he sensed pain. Real pain. Not guilt. Not fear of getting caught. But heartbreak. I've seen him bark at billionaires with fake passports, Callie said. I've seen him rip open the lining of a suitcase for 0.5 gram of powder. But I've never seen him do this. Rachel wiped her face with her sleeve. Do what? Stay, Callie said softly, like he's guarding you. Not from danger, but from giving up. And in that quiet moment, with cameras pointed and eyes watching, Duke stayed right by her side. Still, loyal, certain. Rachel wiped her face with the back of her hand, but the tears kept coming. I've been clean for 93 days, she whispered. I've counted every single one. Callie stayed quiet, kneeling beside her. Duke didn't move, still sitting close enough for Rachel to feel him near. I wasn't going on vacation, Rachel said. I was flying to Chicago to get help. My cousin runs a rehab center there. She finally had a spot for me. She looked down at her son, who clutched her sleeve, scared but silent now. I didn't want to mess it up this time, she continued. I didn't tell anyone except Maya, my cousin, and my neighbor. His name's Derek. He's the one who's been dealing. Been asking me for weeks to hold stuff in my place. Callie leaned in. What do you mean, hold stuff? He said nobody checks moms with babies. Said if I kept it in my apartment, he'd give me rent money. I told him no. Every time. Her voice cracked. Yesterday morning he got mad. Said, I'd regret it. I didn't think he meant this. I didn't think he'd actually. I never left the bag alone except once, at the shuttle stop. I looked away for maybe a minute. Callie's eyes didn't shift. She listened carefully. Rachel shook her head. I didn't want my son around any of that. That's why I fought so hard to get into that program. I was supposed to start tomorrow. Duke tilted his head slightly, watching her. There was no tension in his body, no alert, just calm. You really think I'd risk losing him? She asked. He's the only reason I stayed clean. Every single day I woke up and chose him. Callie nodded once. I believe you. Rachel's lips parted. You do? I've seen people lie their way through things like this, Callie said, but Duke doesn't sit next to liars. Rachel looked at the dog. Her voice dropped to a whisper. He didn't leave me, not once. Callie stood and reached for her radio. I'm going to make a call. If what you're saying is true, we'll find out. Rachel's shoulders slumped. I don't want to go to jail, I just want to get better. Duke let out one slow breath, like he was exhaling the weight of it all. And Callie knew. This story wasn't over yet. Callie stepped away from the bench, her hand tight around the radio, but she didn't press the button. Not yet. She reached into her pocket and pulled out her phone instead. Behind her, Duke stayed beside Rachel. He didn't look alert anymore. He looked calm, watchful. His ears were still up, but his body was relaxed. Rachel sat frozen, eyes red, rocking, her son slowly in her arms. She didn't speak. She didn't move. Callie found the number Rachel had given. Second Chances Treatment Center. She tapped call. It rang twice before someone answered. Second Chances, this is Maya. Hi, this is Officer Callie Navarro with Airport Security. I'm calling about a passenger, Rachel Dunn. There was a pause. Is she okay? Maya asked quickly. She was supposed to arrive this morning. She's here, Callie said. There's been a situation. I need to ask you a few things. I'll tell you anything you need, Maya replied. She's my cousin. She's been trying for months to get into the program. She finally got clean. She's been saving every cent. She told me she was afraid this would happen. Afraid? Of what exactly? Callie asked. She said a neighbor had been pressuring her, asked her to hold something for him. She said no, but he kept trying. Last week she called me crying, said she thought he might plant something just to scare her or ruin her chance at getting help. Callie closed her eyes for a second. Everything, Rachel said, lined up. She left this morning with her son, Maya continued. She was so excited and scared, said she finally felt ready. Callie looked back over her shoulder. Duke was still beside Rachel. She was speaking softly too, him, tears falling, her son asleep in her lap. She told me it was now or never, Maya said. If she didn't make it to the center this week, she'd lose the bed. And honestly, I don't think she'd try again. Callie took a breath. Thank you, Maya. That's helpful. I'll let you know what happens. She's not lying, officer, Maya said softly. Please don't let this be the thing that breaks her. I won't, Callie promised and hung up. She turned back. Rachel hadn't moved, but Duke had. He was lying down now, his head resting beside her foot as if to say, You're not alone anymore. And in that quiet moment, it wasn't about drugs. It was about redemption. Callie barely had time to set her phone down when her radio crackled. Navarro, it's dispatch. Portland PD just called in. They have something on your suspect. Callie grabbed her radio. Go ahead. They responded to a noise complaint at Rachel Dunn's apartment building this morning. Her door was busted in. Looks like someone forced entry. Callie's heart skipped. What time? Between 5 and 6 a.m., just when she was leaving for the airport. Callie glanced at the clock on the wall. That lined up, exactly. They've been watching a guy in her building, dispatch continued. Name's Derek Morrison. Been on their radar for months. Drug movement, suspected trafficking, and get this, they found residue in the stairwell. Same type of fentanyl you just field tested. Callie looked over at Rachel, still sitting on the bench with her sleeping child. Duke hadn't moved an inch. She crossed the room. "Rachel," she said softly. Rachel looked up, eyes puffy. "What?" "There was a break-in at your place this morning. Portland PD confirmed it. Someone forced your door open right after you left." Rachel's face fell. "I knew it," she whispered. "I told you. I knew he'd do it." "They think Derek Morrison used your bag as a drop," Callie said. "He's under investigation. They're collecting evidence now." Rachel covered, her mouth with her hand. Her shoulders began to shake. "Oh my God, I wasn't crazy." Callie sat down beside her. "You weren't. Everything matches your story, the time, the person, even the drug." Rachel leaned into the stroller, kissing the top of her son's head. "I was so scared. I didn't want to believe he'd really do it, but I felt it. That's why I rushed this trip." Callie gave a small nod. "Your instincts were right. You trusted them. And you told the truth." Rachel looked at Duke. "And he believed me. Even when I was yelling, he didn't move." Callie smiled faintly. "He knows what's real. Always has." Rachel wiped her face again. "So what happens now?" Callie stood. "I'm going to talk to my supervisor. We'll document everything. The drugs, the alert, your story, and the PD's report. With everything we have, the charges won't stick." Rachel let out a long breath like she'd been holding it since dawn. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know how to say it enough." "You already did," Callie replied, "by telling the truth." Duke finally stood, stretched once, then walked to Rachel. He pressed his head gently into her knee. She reached down, her fingers resting on his thick fur. "Good boy," she said. "You saved me." And Duke, quiet as always, just wagged his tail once, like he already knew. The confirmation came through fast. Charges dropped. Rachel was officially cleared, her name removed from the system, and a new boarding pass printed just minutes before final call for the next flight to Chicago. Callie handed her the ticket. "You're good to go." Rachel stared at the paper like it didn't feel real. "That's it? I can leave?" "You're free." Callie nodded. "They'll be waiting for you at the treatment center." Rachel looked down at her son sleeping in the stroller. Her voice shook. "I thought I was going to lose him," Callie said gently. "You didn't. You fought for him. That counts." Rachel turned slowly, eyes landing on Duke. He was sitting exactly where he'd been all morning, calm, steady, watching. She crouched down beside him, tears rising again. This time not from fear, but from gratitude. "I'm sorry I yelled," she said softly, reaching out her hand. "I was scared. I didn't know who to trust." Duke didn't hesitate. He leaned in and pressed his nose gently into her palm. No bark, no growl, just presence. "You saved me," she whispered. Callie felt her throat tighten. She'd seen Duke work dozens of cases. But this one would stay with her. Rachel stood, wiping her eyes. "When I get better, I want him to know. I want you both to know. We'll be here." Callie smiled. Rachel gave Duke one last look before walking toward the gate. Her son still asleep, her hands finally steady. Duke watched her go, tail tapping the floor just once. Callie looked down at him. "Good boy," she said quietly. "That one wasn't just about the drugs, huh?" Duke blinked slowly, almost like he understood every word. And in that moment, with the crowd thinning and the gate closing, Justice didn't wear a badge or carry a weapon. Justice had 4 legs, a strong heart, and amber eyes. The gate behind them closed. Rachel was gone. On her way to Chicago, to healing, to hope. But Duke and Callie didn't stay still for long. Duty called. They returned to the terminal, floor like they had 100 times before. The airport buzzed with noise again. New faces, new bags, new chances. But something had changed. Callie looked down at Duke as they passed gate 15. "You saved her life," she whispered. Duke gave one soft chuff, his ears flicking just once. Like he understood. He walked steady beside her, calm but alert. He didn't need praise, he didn't need treats. What mattered was the work, the mission, the people. Callie thought about the moment Rachel had crouched beside Duke. The way he leaned into her hand. No training could teach that. That was heart. That was instinct. "You knew before I did," Callie said under her breath. "You always do." They turned a corner near security. A kid waved. Duke gave a polite wag but kept walking. Still working. Always watching. It would have been easy to think they just stopped a flight, but they hadn't. They stopped a fall. They caught a mother in free fall, gave her time to stand again. One false move, one missed bark, and a child could have been left motherless. But Duke didn't miss. As they passed the next gate, Callie saw a man drop his bag. Duke didn't react. No alert, nothing dangerous. Just another traveler rushing to make it. And that's how it was. Hundreds of bags, hundreds of faces, most just passing through. But now and then one needed saving, and Duke would know. Always. They faded into the moving crowd, unnoticed. Just two more figures in the airport flow. But behind the silence, behind the calm steps and steady leash was purpose and a promise.